Hello YouTube, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to see how to install Microsoft SQL Server 2019 into your local machine. This is the most stable version of Microsoft SQL Server at this time. Maybe we can use that to learn more about SQL and how to navigate in the data world. First of all, go to your browser and type download SQL Server 2019. All right, that should be fairly easy to get. To the first official link from Microsoft and scroll down, you'll see two options. Those are free and you don't have to download them again. Some versions that you might run into might give you a free trial, which expire after a certain time. So I would get either of two. This is a developer version on the left and Express version on the right. Express version is a free edition of SQL Server, which is ideal for development as well as production workloads. So just click on download and the downloader will start. Double click on that downloaded exe file. You'll have a dialog box started. So once that happens, you'll see something like this. It'll take a little bit of time to come up sometime. So first do the basic version. If you're just starting with SQL Server and just want to install a version of database on your machine, this is the best way to go. You can customize it as well if you'd like to. Once you do that, just hit accept. And it's asking you where you want to install your SQL Server. The default location is program file. Just click install. It'll do this magic. It's gonna take about 10-15 minutes to install depending on your computer. So once that installs, you have a version of SQL Server on your local computer. Once that installs, I'll come back to the recording and I'll show you how to get into the SQL Server and how we can navigate into accessing the contents of the SQL Server. All right, I'll go and pause for a second until this is downloaded and I'll see you again. All right, so it's downloaded successful and it's starting to install SQL Server now. Let's give it a couple minutes and let's let it do its thing. All right, after the SQL Server is successfully installed, you'll get a screen like this saying installation has completed successfully. Now, what you can do is install an application called SSMS, stands for SQL Server Management Studio. This is a GUI that helps you connect to the SQL Server in a much more easy fashion. So just click on install SSMS button and you'll be directed to a new URL. Right, so you can click on the link here, free download for SQL Server Management Studio. You'll get a file called SQL SSMS setup ENU file. Just double click on it. Once this is downloaded and installed, you'll be able to connect to that SQL Server we just installed. Once we double click on the SSMS installer, we'll get a dialog box asking where we want to install it. I want to install it in the default location under program files. So just click install and it will install SSMS for us. What this does is it basically allows us to connect to the database, which is usually on a remote server. Here For educational purposes, we are installing on the same machine, but usually in production workload, SQL Server is installed in a remote server, and you usually download the Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio, which we are doing, to connect to that server. And that's where you'll be writing your queries, writing your store procs, writing your views, and then pulling any kind of data from the server for analysis purposes. All right, I'll let the installation go in there, and we'll resume once that finishes. All right, the installation worked for me, and now after the install is complete, you can just type SSMS on your search, and you should be able to see SQL Server Management Studio. Alright, so once it opens up, you can connect to the database we just installed using the connect button here. And I just ask what's the server type, which is a database engine. For me, you can just type dot or localhost for server name, and just go with Windows authentication. We click on connect, and it'll be able to connect your SSMS to the database you just installed. Alright, so on the left hand side, you'll be able to see different databases that are part of the installation. We just have system database and database snapshots, and you'll see security, server objects, and all others. So at this point, we do not have any database. We don't have any user created database. So what we'll do in the next video is we'll install some database and pre-created database, and we'll query data from there, and we can learn a little bit of SQL, how to navigate pulling data from SQL Server. So that's all for the video. Thank you.